Are you looking for a faster video? Well, today it's a live stream, and I know you're probably looking for a really nice and tidy, edited down video, but I have ways for you to make it faster. You can click that little gear on the YouTube settings right there on the video and adjust the playback speed, make me sound like a chipmunk, and it'll go a lot faster. You can also look and see if there's timestamps for this project in the description, and if you're on a desktop, you can hover over the time bar at the bottom of the screen and see if it's chunked up into chapters, and then that way you can go directly to the step you're looking for. And lastly, you can also tap on the screen on the right hand side of the video picture or on the left hand side to make the video jump ahead, forward or backward if you're on a mobile device. And you can adjust that amount in your settings so you can have complete control over how much it jumps. So if you are on a desktop, you can use the fast forward or the rewind, and that will make it go faster as well. You can also enable subtitles, and the little CC on the screen will enable closed captioning. That way, if I am a little bit harder to understand with that double playback speed, the subtitles might help you out. All right, well, I know that it's not a nice little edited video, but if you sew with me, we'll get there together and it'll be lots of fun. And now for the live stream. Happy sewing! Hello, all you early birds. How are you? It's a little crooked, huh? I think I bonked it when I haven't even budged any of this since I took the picture after the last stream. It's just been sitting here. I got the piping out and the sleeve, and then these are the pants. It's all like looking like camouflage now, isn't it? But we're so close. We're so close. We've got the easy stuff left. You've already got your collar done. It's amazing, right? So yeah, here we go. We have our sleeve, our piping. I'm gonna put my pants right there. If we have time today, I might even do the buttons and buttonholes. I got the machine ready. And I also have my little gift bag to sew. So Marley's is early. I think I saw a chat from Bonnie Hill, and then when I clicked it over to live chat, it just disappeared, which should be the opposite. So I don't know. Hey, Louisa. Hey, Terry. Margaret. Marilyn. Hey, Shem. Sarah. Hey, Jan. Hey, Mary. Hey, Rachel. Hey, Anna. All right. Happy Saturday. Sunday to the Aussies. If they're here, they're like sitting in bed drinking coffee probably. So, yeah. How are you all? What are you making this weekend? Are you sewing? Are you chilling? It's sunny here and cold. It feels like winter. Hey, Mullen. How are you? How are you? Let me see if I have the, yep. Just making sure I have the alert box on. Cool. All right, well, let's get to it. So, and then the timestamps, Beverly did the timestamps, and they're in part 1 of the sewing, which is really nice. So nice, right? Hi, Pontinos. How's it going? Welcome. I wanted to say something, but maybe it was regarding this whole top stitching the facing down, but we're going to get to that in a second, so it doesn't matter. All right. So I'm going to be flat felling my side seams and my armhole and sleeve. That is not in the instructions. I'm going to do it because I feel like it's low profile, and I like flat felling. It's kind of fun. So, oh, you're working on your next Sanders button up. That is your newest go-to pattern. Oh, nice, Jan. Oh, cool, Marley's a mystery quilt. You finally taking the Christmas tree down. Sunny and cold there too, Mullen. You're making the Riley overall. Oh, ooh, we like top stitching. Chilling, creating, I always find something to do. Ah, same. Oh, that's nice, Mary. Number 6, wow. That's awesome. I love that. Oops. I don't know why my foot's on the pedal. Real TNT, exactly. You're here to watch the flat felling? Really? It is pretty satisfying. Let's do this little cuff on the sleeve first, because we can't do anything without it. Hi, Marie. It's chilly there too. All right, so I'm gonna tack my binding on there, and I already removed the stitching last stream, so we don't have to suffer through that, even though it is really satisfying. Let's see, I kind of want this, I need this to be on the seam line, right? I've actually never made, that would be the seam line, yeah, right there. It's so far over, it's disconcerting. I've never made the short sleeve version using the pattern. I'm on top of the binding right now. And I have made a short sleeve version of these pajamas, but I think I just cut it off. I can't get off of this draw cord right now. I'm trying to scooch it over just a tiny bit, but it really wants to grab it. There we go. You want to see how it's done? Yeah, I love flat felling. It's I think the trickiness with flat felling is really logistics of it, like where it goes. Hey, Bonnie. I thought I saw you comment earlier, but it disappeared when I clicked it over to live chat. I keep hearing that little click, click, click. You hear that? So I'm a huge fan of setting in sleeves. Everyone pretty much knows that about me. I'm a huge fan of a set-in sleeve, and I'm a huge fan of setting it in, meaning you sew the side seam of the shirt, you sew the underarm of the sleeve, and then you put the sleeve to the body. It's the best way to put in a sleeve. I don't care what really anybody says about that. That's one thing I just don't budge on, because it's just the most comfortable. The sleeve functions the best. But, you know, you can sew it however you want. Hi, Melissa. That's nice. You're doing the ginger jeans. I have not made those in a long time. I've been like, why are you clicking? Why are you clicking? Like, come on. Come on. You know what? Just don't. I don't know what that's about. I'm going to check the needle after this seam. I've been going through all my patterns because I'm going to be putting ones that I don't plan on making anytime soon into a filing cabinet. And it's been kind of like a memory lane. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I sewed this. Oh, I always wanted to make another one of this. You know, it's like so much of that. And ginger jeans is one of them. I think the ash jeans, I can't tell what it is different about it, but I like the way the ash jeans fit me. So I've been making more of those, but I have quite a few gingers. All right, so we're going to do the cuff. If you have a directional print, make sure that when you put this on here, like I would just lay it all out there. Go, okay, this is how my cuff's going to look like when it's sewn on there. So this, I want this to be like that. That's the right side, right? And now we're going to flip it over, roll it, and put the other side to the back. Like, make it obvious to yourself. You don't have to, like, go through the mental gymnastics if it's too much, right? Thanks, Anna. Yeah, that, I don't know what that click is. The only thing I did was change the needle before. So let's just make sure I have it in there all the way. The other day I put my needle in backwards, so the long groove was facing to my right. I have never done that before, but it didn't sew very well, so I figured it out. You cannot get away with it. Yeah, I love French seams. So, I love French seams, but I like flat felled seams in areas where I want it to be a little low profile. It's still clicking a little bit. It's still clicking a little bit. All right, so we've got this one on. I'm clean finishing my cuff. That's why I did it this way. And now I'm going to fold to the right side and edge stitch it. So we're going to do this one next. So we can do the ironing all at the same time. So let's get rid of this too. So when you do a flat felled seam like on a shirt or something like that, I think if you're doing like a button down shirt, it's a little confusing because say you're doing get off there, there we go. Say you're doing a tower or column placket, whatever you call it. I think that's the biggest drag of doing flat felled seams is that you have to do you can do the placket of the shirt, but you can't do the cuff until the shirt is sewn together completely. So that means that you're putting your cuff on with all that shirt in the way. That's kind of the biggest drag. All right, so we have our cuffs on there. If you can kind of see what's going on there. So there's the cuff, and it's going to fold to the right side. Thanks, Mary. Sending good vibes to all machines out there. I need to straighten this out a little bit. Not that way, this way. Right there. There we go. All right. So we'll just iron this first. Like that. And this one. You've been meaning to thank me for the tip about the hole in the brush to hold the needle. Oh, yeah, like the little thing that comes with your serger. Mine came with a serger. So I have to admit, I wouldn't press this right now, but I will. I just will. I like doing it because this isn't confined in other ways like the seams. This will be okay, pre-pressing this edge. I should probably elaborate. So normally I wouldn't pre-press this edge like you see in so many steps of sewing patterns to pre-press an edge. I find that that limits you because what if you press this side wider and this side narrower, then they won't match right here, you know? So I'm just going to double check it. And because I have this underarm seam, I can always fudge it, you know, by making it match at the piping or at the end or something like that, you know. So I find pre-pressing just limits you. And so let's just check our sleeve here. Let's just check it. It's pretty much oh, there we go. It's pretty much the same. This side is longer, I think, right? So we'll just press the side a tiny bit more. Because that's the kind of thing, like, once you stitch that down, you really have a lot of things that you can't really change. You have this seam, and this seam. That's a lot of different things. There we go. Hi, Kira. Hey, Libby. Hi, Iris. A Snow White Germany. Wow. Piping is a little wiggly right there. If you're doing a cuff like this on a non-super shirt, would you recommend interfacing? Not in quilting cotton, I wouldn't. You know, quilting cotton it has so much body. Look at that. Look at that. Y'all think I'm so good, and then you see that. It's funny because if I line up the piping right there, I can tell this seam right here and this seam right here aren't quite lining up, which means I'm closer there than I am on that side. Pick your battles. I think that I like doing interfacing and cuffs sometimes, but short sleeves, I sort of find that it depends on the sleeve. And I think about like my Mellow Low shirt by Deer and Doe. Anyone who's made that short sleeve version knows that cuff is very, very close fitting. And the thing is, like, it's not wrong, but having a closer fitting cuff makes the fact that it's not a set-in sleeve it makes that sleeve more functional. And I can elaborate on that. But I think like because the when the cuff is really close fitting and it's a cut-on sleeve, it's not set in, it makes it so that the garment doesn't slip to your back and choke you in the front, right? I'm not a big cut-on sleeve fan at all. It's like the travesty of home sewing patterns that they're all like cut-on sleeves right now. But at the same time, I love the Mellow Low shirt. There's something about it I just really like. I've made like 2 or 3. And I think that the cuff being really close fitting really helps that shirt. However, it's so close fitting that if you have interfacing in there, I have to sort of like break it in when I put it on every time I wear it. I don't have huge biceps either. So if you are someone that always has to increase a bicep, you'd have to know that before getting too far. Why aren't you telling me that I'm blinding you? Look at that, I'm blinding you guys. So the first time I made that, I felt like it was too stiff. Can I please grab that? There we go. Jeez. Oh, there's dogs outside. Hey, Walter. Hey, Julie. How are you? You guys doing good? You're not that late. I just got sewing right away, too. Okay, so I'm just like going to use my awl. My piping is not very straight. I know. I really am struggling to get it on here very nicely. But I do need my awl so that this top layer doesn't scooch toward me and then torque. The other place I think about that shim is on the bow top by Seamwork. That's another one of my favorite shirts. But I don't go rush out and get the bow top just because it's my favorite. I severely took that shirt in. Like I took it in like by like 8 inches in circumference or more. It was huge. It's very, very wide, which is kind of cute, but for me, that's just too sloppy. And so I brought it in. And I also cut the cuff on the bias, and so I interfaced it. And I don't know, it didn't have that great of an impact on it. Hey, Beth. Hey, Heidi. Hey, Raquel. How's it going? Oh, thanks, Raquel. This is one of my favorite things I've knit. I wear it a lot when it's cold. I don't get to wear it very much, so I wear it every time it's cold. And I have like a camisole underneath. No shirt. That would be too hot. Hey, Blair. The stitching is so close on the piping there. Do you want me to bring this in, the camera in? You can always ask me, Sammy, do you mind zooming in a little? So I'm just using my awl to push this because what can happen is this will pull toward me and this will push away and then I'll get like diagonal torque lines. I'm exaggerating, but you know, just even a little bit. You can't come back from that. You got to take it out. You can't iron it. So I'm just gently pushing this every stitch. Nothing will be too much. Nothing will be too much. It's a constant battle. With that many layers of fabric because of the piping in there, it just wants to slide. Look at that one lined up. Look how much I pushed on it. This one didn't. See? Look at that. And look at, I even have some tucks in here. But look, you can just scratch them out. Would you like me to, is that the yes please for zooming in? On set-in sleeves, you get the choking thing? I'm surprised. But that could be a neck thing for sure. How's that, Julie? Hi, Nancy. How's it going? Forward shoulder adjustment for the choked feeling. It could be the shoulder slope too, Jan. Make sure that the shoulder slope is pitched enough, because if not, what happens is the shirt's struggling to settle on your body, and it's going to go to the path of least resistance, and it's usually behind you. So it means it goes like this. You're not doing anything wrong, Beth. That is a setting. Do you have so you have the one with electronics? Oh, which one is that? You can change that thread length, Beth. Do you still have your manual? I have a mechanic that comes and does my work on my machine, but I think that you can do it yourself. And just don't quote me on this, because I feel like it's either, I think it's in your electronics thing, this thing right here. I don't know which one you have. I have my Stream Deck. Oops, I pressed the button. I have my Stream Deck sitting on, watermelon pom-pom magnets. So sophisticated. You think I'm so techie. I'm outed. Yeah, you're not doing anything wrong, Beth. It's just a setting, that's all. Yeah, what Libby said, Jan. What Libby said, the rounded upper back. Because like if you think about like if the shoulder angle is like this rather than like this, what happens is if you need a more of a pitch to your shoulders, then what happens is you've got this like flat thing. Like if you just imagined a piece of cardboard, like a flat board sitting here, what would it want to do? It would want to like rock to the front or rock to the back, and most likely it's going to rock to the back, because whatever your collar and the way we move and the way our body moves, it just pulls it to the back. Forward shoulder on a lot of patterns, and it helps my very forward shoulder according to my physical therapist. Oh yeah, exactly. It's all that phone work. Phone jockeys. No, I'm just teasing. I don't know. All right, I got a couple other tucks here. We're just scratching them out. Most likely you did not pierce that tuck with your needle. It's between the two stitches, so you can ease it out. All right, so we're going to work on the flat felled seams. So when you do flat felled seams, you have to leave the underarm open on the sleeve and the side seam. All right, so let me trim this down. Nice and flush. To make some choices over here, I think. You could just do, you know, you could just sew your shirt, you know, right sides together, your sleeve, right sides together. Finish your seam, put your sleeve on, you're done. All right. When you're doing flat felled seams, you need to have enough seam allowance. I'm just looking for the one of my sleeves here. Here we go. It's a big shirt. So we're going to put this wrong sides together. And do I need to ease this sleeve on? I can't remember. Oh yeah. Holy heck. How much are we easing here? Holy moly. All right, well, I just made this a lot harder on myself. I don't know if I can do this. Wow, this is technical. No, not really. I'm going to be straight with you guys. I don't like easing a sleeve on when it's flat felled, like at all. It's really hard. Guaranteed I'll get puckers, which I'm not a huge fan of. I may have to go back to French seams. That's a disappointment. What I could do is the underarm, a flat felled seam, and then the armhole, a French seam. I do not have to. I do not have to. If you want a tutorial though, Jan, I'm pretty sure you have access to all the skill building sessions, and I go over it a lot in the latest one, the button-up shirt sew-along. You sew the sleeves in flat. You have to sew the sleeves in flat if you're flat felling. You don't have to, but trust me, if you sew your underarm seam and your side seam and then you flat fell your shirt sleeve to the garment, that is really hard. Like I had to do it because I accidentally used one of my side seams as a demo for something else. And I was like, oh, this is great. This is plaid. I'm going to show you how to sew this together. And so then I just had this shirt waiting for the next steps of the videos for its thing, its button-up sew-along thing. But I borrowed it for a second. And then I got to it and I was like, why did I do this to myself? It was so hard. So how about gathering the sleeve? I still can't do a flat felled seam for that. I mean, you can, but it's just not the same thing. So I think what I'm going to do is just flat fell the underarm and the side seam. Do you think? I don't know, Beverly. Yeah, it's actually what I was thinking. You're saying top stitch my French seam down. Yeah, that's true. But I really don't think I want to do that. See, it's okay to not pick the harder path, you guys. All right, so I'm just going to do this underarm here. You need enough seam allowance. If you're sewing a pattern that already has flat felled seam allowance on it, you need to really pay attention that they didn't pre-trim your seam. This is the back. So we're going to trim the back here. It's just real. It would be really hard, Julie, because there's too much easing. Usually, when you do a flat fell seam, there's no easing. There's like 1 3/4 of an inch ease in this sleeve. So yeah, that's why. Instead, I will French seam it. I don't mind French seaming it with ease. Okay, I want this underarm to match, but look, it's going to be really close with my piping. Whoops. I'll show you why it can't be done when I do the French seam. I know there's going to be that one person out there that's like, that can be done. Yeah, it probably could be. Go for it. It's not worth the trouble. You will have obvious puckers. And because the flat felled seam is done on the right side of the garment, see how this is like this right now? And we're going to fold this over, turn, and top stitch it down. If this was all eased, like if this seam was all eased right here, you'd see all these gathers in this piece right here. So that's why. Just say no. All right, so I'm going to do the side seams too. I kind of assumed that this was a drop shoulder and it didn't have ease. Never assume, right? Okay, so I saw someone say they have trouble with flat felled seams because they can't get their seams to line up. So I do have a tip about that. Let's say I was flat felling this seam right now. If I if I do this first pass, you always line up the first pass on the seam line like this, right? So meaning, I had a good example of it when I did the shoulders, because I did French seams on the shoulders. And when I did that, the first pass, if I had lined up the raw edges to each other and not the seam line, it wouldn't have, I'd get a jog. There's no way, Shim. Not an inch and 3/4. Because it's all on the outside, if that makes sense. I promise I'll show you guys. Okay. So let me give you, whoever that was, a better example. So let's say that, well, this one right here doesn't line up, but I'm going to do this as an example. We'll pretend there's a little angle in the seam allowance right there. You see that? Like, say this is a shoulder seam. Now, if you were putting this together as a French seam or as a flat felled seam, and you lined up the raw edges, because say on this side, it looked like this. So, right, so we have a little, it's like uneven here, and it's uneven here, right? So let's say we're like, okay, we're going to do our French seam, and we line it up, on the raw edge right here so that it lines up like that. What will happen is if you sew 1/4 inch here, turn, and then do your last pass, look at this jog. You can tell you have a jog right here. So this is the seam line right here, and there's a jog. So you have to always line up. So even if you're doing a French seam, so let's say we line this up right there on the seam line, and there's that little gap right there. That's okay. We sew our first pass, we press it, we turn it, we sew the other seam, we're sewing it right on that seam line. So that is a lot of times why they don't line up, is just because the whole time you are lining and sewing up the seam, it needs to match at the seam line, at the top and the bottom, or the beginning and the end of the seam. All right, so now I'm going to trim this, and we're going to trim it on the back side here, like this. And I always do this with the shirt like this, so that the non-trimmed edge is facing up. This way I don't accidentally trim it, and I'm just going to trim it down to 1/4 inch. This is a 5/8 inch seam allowance. I think this is pretty ideal for flat felling. Hi, Anne. Sorry, I saw you arrive earlier. I didn't say hi. Sorry about that. Well, that's great, Shim. I definitely have not had that kind of luck. I mean, the ease is there, so it's extra fabric, so it doesn't really like go away. So there's some fabrics that I could probably kind of make them disappear. But with this much ease in a quilting cotton, it's extra fabric. It's not like it goes anywhere. All right, let's press this. Whoops, that's a sleeve. Yeah, we want our sleeves. We want our sleeves. Hi, Chioma, how's it going? Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so we got this one here. And I don't usually iron this next spot, but we're going to, because of this piping is going to give me a little bit of trouble. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Oh, that's great, Jan. Yeah, I see that a lot. In fact, I think it's one of my very, very, very first how-to videos I did on my channel. Because it's so common. And I used to do that too, you know. Like, I know. All right, those are ready. That'll look so nice. And on the inside, it's gonna just look like a seam there. All right, and then this one, let's move you guys over there. All right, so we're gonna press this to the back. This edge is a little thready. It might cause me a little bit of, like, you know, fussiness, but it'll be okay. And if you are really concerned about this being nice and even, because it is on the right side, then I would, you know, pre-press it if you want. What's really nice is if you've trimmed this edge nice and even, you can just wrap this around it, and it kind of just self-regulates itself, and it creates a nice, even edge here. I'll press one and I won't press the other, and I'll show you under the better camera. My iron cam is a bit low. Oh, does it mean, you mean like it's a bit low? What does that mean? It's too far over there? Is this better if I move it to the center? I know the iron cam is just not that great unless I'm standing on the other side of the table. Okay, so I'm just going to press this one both, and then this side I'm just going to press it the first pass. This fabric is really cute. Yeah, I liked all the ones that she had, but when I saw this one, I was like, oh yeah, that's the one I want. This just screams pajamas to me. That's what you meant, Raquel? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, sorry about that. Speaking of my iron, just do not trust this thing. Okay. Okay, so this side I only pressed just once. See that? A little thready. But if you've trimmed this edge straighter than me and more like a nice even width, this will just fold right over it, and it just is really easy. You don't need pins, you don't need to iron unless you like it that way, because it just kind of does it itself. And when I'm doing this, I'm also pulling this apart like this, because you don't want to get a, if you don't pull it apart, you don't want, you see like this little blumping action happening like this, like blump over the seam. No one's going to see it, but it might bug you, like just, you know, mentally. All right, let's put these threads in there. So I'm spreading apart my fingers and then just sliding those threads in there. And then you just edge stitch. A flat fell seam is the seam you usually see on your store-bought jeans on the inseam, so that your thighs are comfortable. Really, Jan? That's interesting. Yeah, blumping, that's a real word. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, so there's our flat felled seam. And on the inside, it just looks like a clean seam, and then this is the stitch that I just sewed right here. So if you ever see this on inside your clothes and it looks like this on this side, like you see 2 rows of stitching here, but you only see 1, that's a flat felled seam. All right, and then this one's pre-ironed. Some fabrics, like say you're doing this on a rayon, You might get diagonal torque lines if you're not careful. So, you know, I just use my awl and I push against the seam to prevent that. Let's make sure we don't sew parts of the shirt under there. All right. All right, so now let's set our, oh, we have to do our, oh, my sleeves. I left them over here. We got to sew those too. Hey, Aussie, how's it going? All right. This is a little trickier because it's such a small little circumference with a gigantic amount of ease. If I had known that we weren't going to be able to flat fell this before I put the piping on, I wouldn't have done this way because I don't really like the fact that you can sometimes get this little turn back edge in here, right here. It'll like poke out right there. I don't know. I'm being picky. Get that thread in there. What I could do to prevent it is go across the bottom here along that little edge. If I really wanted to be super controlling about it. And I do. No, I'm just teasing. This is going to be really thick right here going through that piping. All right, and so there's our flat felled underarm seam. Nice and clean on the inside though. When I'm this zoomed in, it's really hard to get everything on camera. Yay, Lindsay. Awesome. I'm so glad. I hope your mom's doing good. Look, my piping doesn't match. I'm always trying to show you my little things. But look at how nice and flat that is under my underarm. That'll be nice. All right, let's do this side, and then we'll set our sleeves in. So it's hard to get even seam when you have this kind of thickness. So I really push it in further than the above and below it so that it ends up being the same width above and below it when it all is said and done. Let's get rid of these threads. Back stitches. That one matches better. All right, so now we're gonna put in the basting stitch, or the easing stitch. I don't call it a basting stitch. And I'm gonna do it a little closer to the seam line here. Yeah, it really did, Anne. I know. I saw Julie said that too. Yeah, and in all fairness, like you get everything in a NeedleSharp box, but I did add the piping. Can you lift up your camera? I am on my iPhone. We'll swap. What? Can I lift up my camera? I don't know what that means. They spray the costumes with a mixture of vodka and water to keep them from smelling too. God. They just smell like they walked out of a bar? The construction with gigantic snaps and pull strips was fun to look at too. Oh yeah, I bet. Costumes is such an interesting world. And anyone knows that if you sew and you're at all close to someone in a school or a theater department, they ask you to do costumes, and it's such a different skill set, you know? All right, so we're gonna ease this. There we go. I don't know what that means, Julie. Can I lift up my camera? I will move it this way while I ease it. I feel like I need to just zoom out a little bit right now. It's just a little too much. Yeah, Jan's in the business. She does makeup. Exactly, Nancy. Yeah, Anna, you got to do a lot of it this winter. There's just too much stuff on my screen right now. Too many, my face, the text, zoom out. Yeah, just a minute. Okay, so I know there's a lot of ease in this, so I'm going to pull this quite a bit. I'm going to pull it to where there's no tucks on the seam, on the gathering stitch line, but I have all of this ruffling happening. All right, we have our easing stitch in there. Let's get some of it out here. A little too much, I can tell. You can already see, look at the sleeves already curving. Like there's the shoulder right there. That's what that does. It gives you this space right here for your arm. You need this. Don't get rid of it. Don't cut it off. People cut it off at the underarm. I'm just like, man, this shirt's always so tight and I can't lift my arms up. All right, this is the front. All right. So we're going to still sew this wrong sides together, but not at the full seam allowance. Let's get this thread here. Line up the seam. It's nice and flat right there. Usually I tell you to offset your seam allowances, but you don't have to do that with their flat felled. Oh, Anna, of course he's not going to let you go. All right, where's my top notch? There it is. Okay, see, I always go like this, kind of go, okay, that looks pretty good. It will stick above, that's fine because it's a curve there, but that's about all I need. I just need that pin at the underarm and at the notch at the shoulder. And now we're just going to keep it on the seam line. Nope, but we're going to sew it at a 1/4 of an inch seam. Well, I am because it's 5/8 inch seam allowance, and that's what I like. You can do whatever you want. So you see all these tucks? I'm about to sew those down. That's true, Anna, huh? I always keep these little pieces here perpendicular, so that's why you see me kind of sliding them like this. I don't want them to push over like this, right? I'm exaggerating, but you don't want it to push the little gather flat and towards you. Keep them perpendicular to the raw edge and let them get sewn down in that orientation. because then you won't have the like accident of some raw edge peeking through eventually, which is kind of hard to explain, but I can go into it if you want. It's just, I just know, especially with gathers like on a skirt to a bodice or something like that where it's more important. Here it's a French seam, so it's going to get enclosed. All right, so we have that. I got rid of that pin. Okay, cool. I'm gonna trim. Actually, I'm gonna trim this once I get the other one in. No point in trimming it yet because it'll just get ratty before I get to the iron. All right, so let's put this wrong sides together. Oops. I'm so used to putting these on a certain way. All right, there we go. That's awesome, Anna. It's like in some ways it's low stakes sewing because it's not your stuff. And in other ways it's high stakes sewing because it's other people's stuff, you know? Okay, let's pull this one a little bit more. And just check it like this. That's good, that'll work. And then we'll sew it at the narrower half of the seam allowance. Just make sure you pull it down to match all the raw edges, because you could see it was wanting to poke up. And I don't stitch this little gathering thread. I don't sew over that. I want to be able to remove it later if I can. I had it memorized the way I like it to be, like if it's the bobbin or the top thread. And when I do this pass where I like it to be, and I just can't remember now. I had it all figured out and then it just flew out of my head, you know. All right, halfway. So let's pretend like I was doing this as a flat felled seam. And if I had sewn my first pass on the full seam allowance, right here are my gathering stitches, right? I would have all this ruffly edge, right? And you can see I had to stitch it down in order to get this seam in. There's no way I could have not done that, right? So if I sew this as a seam here, and these two layers are still loose, like I haven't, you know, sewn it like I did for the French seam. I press it, I trim down the bodice, and then I fold it over. I would have all that excess in there. If there's not a lot, like if your sleeve is only about it's like 1.25 inches or less larger than your armhole, you can probably do it because you're stitching it onto the body of the garment and it has some like opportunity to spread out. You're still going to probably get some tucks potentially, and it will be really fiddly. All right, so we're going to trim this edge and then we're going to press it. Those of you who just sewed your all this like right sides together and finished the edges are like, haha, I'm done. It's just a little thready, so that's why I'm trimming it. And I also like to make sure that seam allowance is nice and even. All right. Let me get my little salami out. And we're just going to press this seam. This is probably the fiddliest part of French seaming a set-in sleeve with a lot of ease, is pressing it. But I'm telling you, don't skip it. Because if you want the next part to go really easy, this is it. This is your cue to just press it. If you don't have a salami or a ham or something or any other meat type, just roll up a towel and shove it in there just so it kind of lifts your garment up above the rest of the garment. It makes it a lot easier. You could have if you have a sleeve board, that can work. If you're using a traditional ironing board, that would probably work too, just hanging it off the nose. It's just really fiddly because you have to readjust it so many times. And then now we're going to, this part's easy. Turn it to the inside and then just fold it along that seam line edge right there. That's the edge we just folded. Fold it perfectly right on that seam line and iron it. Don't worry about all your puckers and stuff like that. They won't even show when we're done. I don't know what that means, Jan. The gathering will be hidden. The gathering will be hidden, don't worry. The next pass will be right sides together. No one will see this gathering. It'll be on the inside. I'll show you, I'll lift this up and show the camera once I press this whole edge here. Like where I've got here. So we just press this whole edge right here. And right here I didn't get quite on the seam, so I'm just going to correct that a little bit. Pull it. I was looking at the chat on this side, I remember. And if it helps, I like to put it in the shape. See how there's the curve right here? I put it in that shape, and that sort of helps it. Here we go. All right, now we'll press this one. So do it from the inside. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, you might be able to. Yeah, so then you would have the wrong side of the flat fell seam on the right side. I think so. I'm having trouble figuring out where are those gathers in relation to the seam, but I bet that could work. I kind of get to this point where I'm like, I don't care where the shirt's at, I'm just going to press it. At least I pressed it. And now we're going to press it all along this edge here. can't touch this little trivet I have on here because it's 5,000 degrees. But it keeps flipping around. All right, last little bit here. All right, I did an okay job. Hi Leah, how's it going? I love my iron, but I'm having trouble with where to set it. It's a saga. It comes with a little silicone mat, but when it's hot, it slides off that little mat, and I had that little silicone mat on top of a wool ironing mat, and it was cooking my table underneath. On top of that, one time during one of the Zoom workshops for the guild, I finished at the end and went to turn off my iron, and it had slid off and was resting on my maple table. If I had not remembered to turn my iron off that night, it would have been a disaster, like a literal disaster, you know? So I'm not sure what people do because I cannot get it to stay put. And my husband's making me a little platform for it. Oh, I should tell you what I'm doing. I'm just sewing just to the left of my easing stitch here. And I kind of do this thing where I'm always telling you I like take the fabric and go like this. And what I'm doing is making sure that this is a smooth edge here. I also pull it this way so I don't get torque lines, but you might get a little bit. And then I just make sure there's no tucks in this seam line, but it should be really easy at this point. Like, look, I didn't use any pins because you've already sewn it down once. We're just sewing a parallel line to that first pass now. This could end up being a tuck, so we'll just move it around a little bit. Same with that one right there. So I really love the iron, but I am struggling with making it work for my setup. I'm about to rearrange my studio because I rented the office next to me for a little storage. And so I'm thinking I might try using my ironing board, which has an iron rest in it. I don't know if I can put this iron on something that's at a slight angle, but we'll see. I was just sighing because this is my thing I do all the time is I will come around. So I started here, I went this way, went around, I got to that point, and then I backstitched, and I backstitched into the garment. You see that right there? So annoying when I do that. Just take out a few of those stitches. This is one of my little things that I do. It's like a weird little technique. I can't break myself of the habit where I will start this and or I will start it and like say my first pass of stitching is like this, right? And I come around, I'm like, that is not along the seam line. And I come around and then I have to take all that stuff out because apparently I just can't do a parallel line that's in a curve right there. I don't know what's wrong with me, but yeah. Yeah, they're just talking about ballet, Leah, in case you didn't notice. Oh my gosh, Anne. That's 4 torques in less than an hour. Who's counting? Let's see, I think I can take out my gathering stitch. You know, if you're new here, I don't know what it is, but my chat does not like when I use the word torque. There's 5. They always call me out on it. I don't know what else you want me to call it. I've modified the way I say it so it doesn't sound like twerk as much. All right, I'm just trying to grab that. I want to remove this, but this side doesn't look like the side with the thread. So I really want to remove my basting stitch, but it's like already not budging. So I must have caught it somewhere. Oh well. Maybe with the other side. We'll have some luck. I'll remove it later. No, she is not the only one who's teased me. How have you missed that? Exactly. See, Nancy's, yeah. It's all these OG people, Shin. Yeah, thank you, Karen. Thank you, Karen. If I don't tell you about it, who's going to? It's the secret word. Why is this a secret word? I think it's just because it's like the way I say it, and I have trouble saying it any other way than the way I say it. I do agree with y'all when you used to say it sounded a little bit like I said twerk. Torque. Torque. I'll practice. Oh, I actually did that this time. Perfect. Okay. So yeah, you know what it is? It's that I like, when I put in this basting stitch, I should always pull on the wrong side because that's what's still showing when I'm done. This is not my gathering thread right here. So if I pull this, I'll just lock it up. That's what it is. That's the secret. That's the secret, not torquing. Exactly, Heidi. Thank you, Karen. I have not, because we're not using it today, right? Rachel. I loved Pee Wee Herman. Haha. You have the same one. It's falling off the iron. Yes. Yeah. Well, if it fell off I will say if it fell off the table, probably my water bottle would catch it, but boy, would I hate it if it snapped the water bottle. Holding it up there. I don't know. Can I show you guys that? Ooh. See that water bottle? Look past the wood. It's hanging on that pipe. There's the cord of the iron down to the iron, which you can't see, but it's right there. If that fell off the table, at least the water would put out the fire until it just became a steam bath in here. Thank you, Walter. Thank you. I know. You guys are so funny. Binding. I'm aware of torque because it's a problem, you know. All right, look at that. Look at that beautiful set-in sleeve. No tucks. Wait, what's that? Don't make me liar on me. Oh, that's just a little wrinkle because we sewed over where the fullness was. That's just a wrinkle. It's not an actual tuck. See? Oh, look, here's my pull thread. But it's going the wrong way. Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. Oh, I can't pull my bind. It's so disappointing when I can't pull out the gathering stitch. I can at least pull this to this side. Can I? Yeah. I got rid of it on that side. Flat fell underarms, nice and flat. French seam inside. So yeah, someone was saying, yeah, could I just top stitch this down? I probably could, just to kind of mimic the look of the underarm seam. But personally, if you have a bunch of ease in your sleeve like this, you don't want to flatten it out by pushing the seam allowance towards the body. Because do you see what happens when the seam allowance is pressed toward the sleeve? I'm pulling it towards. Do you see that little bump? See the little, like, this? So now that little soft bump, that's what you're going for. Like, that's like the creme de la creme of sewing. In case you didn't know, that is like the chef's kiss right there. Having all that ease, you have this room right here for the gush of your upper arm, right? So now if I pull the seam allowance to the body, do you see how it flattens this out and makes it look a little, it's not very flattering. Do you see that? It's just kind of, I don't know, it just doesn't look as nice. It's because of the ease. If there was no ease in this sleeve, then that would be fine. But just saying. It's looking good though. Nice and clean finished. Let's zoom out a little bit. Exactly. Where's my machine? What? I didn't say word of the day. You guys did. You guys are so funny. Exactly, Anne. It's sunken in. That's a really good way to describe it. It gets kind of sunken in. This side has a lot of easing. You can see it. It's probably because this is the side I pulled on the easing stitch afterward. Look at that. Look at how messy it kind of looks. It's not pressed either, but then when you press the seam allowance towards it, it just kind of fluffs it up, you know. It's not an ivy pole, it's just piping. Like 3/4 inch steel piping in black. And it's like, I got a flange and I bolted it to my table. All right, so now we have the hem and that's it. And I stitched down this facing last time thinking, I don't know why I was obsessed with finishing these facings all the way through, collar and facings. And then afterward I was like, why did I do that? Like I started hemming the bottom and everything. And then I realized I could have just done this all at the end with the hemming. So we're gonna do that now. So let's see here. I'm gonna have to start on this side that is already partially done. With like a nice little corner turn there. You got this little seam right here. So that's in the end of the last video, how I achieved this nice finish right here. It's very easy to do. Should be on all patterns that have a lapel or a facing like this, in my opinion. So we're just gonna check our, well, these actually are checked. Never mind. I'm just going to hem this now. It's pretty much ready to go, but I'm going to pin this down in a few places. Oh, some of their Italian fabrics they've gotten, Raquel, are really cool. They just had a new shipment of them. I saw that email. I was just on their site yesterday a lot. I have this job right now for making how-to videos right now, and the fabric part is so hard, you guys. Like, everyone wants to shop for fabric, and I know I'm going to tell you all these parameters and you're going to be like, that's no problem. It is so hard to find fabric because I need fabric that has a clear right and wrong side, right? So a print. Hi, Barbara. So it has to be most likely a print, okay? It has to have contrast thread, and it has to work under the camera, all right? That is really hard. I am really hard on myself for what my wardrobe looks right now because I feel like it's a little all over the place. Like a lot of pieces aren't very versatile with my whole wardrobe, and I realize it's the camera thing. Because so many fabrics I can't use under a camera. They're too dark or the print is too busy. So I just stick to solids, but then they're all in these other, it's like, I don't know. And so, and then when you add all those 3 huge parameters to fabric type, so now say you need a bottom weight, now you need a suiting, now you need a knit, now you need a woven. It is really hard to find all those things and be a garment that someone would want to wear. Because that's my thing, is like I would really like it to be like wearable, right? That's not actually part, like it doesn't have to be something someone wears or owns. That would be nice though, right? So, all right, so remember how I told you, I'll show you what I'm going to do with this little, so I don't have a back stitch. I should just put a back stitch, but I'll just show you really quickly what I would do. I'm going to pull this, I left the tail, right? I'm going to pull the underside and then put my all in the loop that it creates, pull the top thread, and now I can just hand tie this like this. Like this. And then I can just weave this into the hem. Like just, I can just thread this on a needle, poke the needle in, and then just pull out the needle. I give it a little tug, cut the threads, they snap inside there, right? So that's what I would do. But a back stitch here isn't going to bug me so much. Let's make sure all of our transitions, I feel like there's a jog here. Oh, it's not a jog, it's just a little bit of seam allowance right here. All right. This is a long shirt tail hem. So I usually like to pin the landmark spots. Just looking at the width I tried. I think I did like 1.25 inches or something like that. Yeah, it just makes it hard because all of those parameters are kind of a lot. And then on top of it, if you wanted to buy them at one store, forget it. You're placing orders at 4 different stores. It's just taking me too much time to find fabric, which isn't something I get paid to do. I can keep the project if I want, but honestly, with all those parameters, it doesn't end up being a fabric that I'm really that into, and I don't need a lot of garments, so it's kind of hard. Oh, there's a lot of, why is this so hard to, it's just because it's too wide of a hem. I shouldn't have done that wide of a hem. Why did I do that wide of a hem? Dang. When you have a shirt tail hem, don't do this. I'm taking this out. I am going to take this out. You doing shirt tail hems, you need a narrower seam allowance or hem allowance. Be nice to your future self and just don't do that. Yeah, I don't think they want that job either. I have an idea, but on top of that, $15 or under a yard. I didn't trim the hem allowance, Jim. And it doesn't matter because I'm making it smaller, not bigger. I'm not taking out this. That's staying. I'm saying I'm going to roll this right here a little wider or narrower. Right here. You guys are really worried about this. I can tell. Okay, fine. I'll have a back stitch there. No, it's totally fine. Here, I'll take out a lot so you can see why it's fine. See you, Walter. Have a good weekend. See you in the guild. I want a narrower hem allowance because of the shirt tail hem. Those curves are too hard with a wide hem. So if I were to use this wide of a hem right here where it curves, that's pretty hard. So I'll just try and pin it for you. It won't work because see, I'll have all this extra right here. So if you were to measure your hem along this raw edge, all right, this is a really good exercise. Measure your hem along the curved edge, whether it's neckline, armhole, or a shirt tail hem. Then measure where the hem is going to end, where this little edge is going to fold to. So if we are folding it up 1.25 inches, turning under that 1/4 inch like this, and it's going to land here, measure that spot right there. And then you'll find that there's a difference. There's going to be a difference right here, like especially if you chunked it up, like if you measured between here and then here. Here's fine, right? This is easy peasy, nice and flat, 1 to 1. But here, forget it. It's just really hard. So, yeah, like a circle skirt, exactly. So, and then right here, you guys, I'm just folding this more. That's all. See? Nothing's changing with this. And I'm going to fold it so that it's folded twice like that. See that? That'll be a little easier. It's just still a little wide. It'll probably get narrower as I go, to be honest. This is kind of a wide hem allowance. I think a 3/4 inch hem allowance is better. And then you just fold it like 3/8, 3/8, or 1/2 inch, 1/4. Ooh, Terry. He's busted now. I'm going to trim this down. I'm going to trim this down so that it's 3/4 inch hem allowance. I know this shirt's too long for me, so that'll be fine. I'm just going to trim down the whole thing. Because I already pre-sewed that hem edge. Years minimum. Karen just sentenced him. He's only allowed to use his teeth and fingernails to open packages from now on. There we go. My 3/4 inch hem now. All right. Like this. I'm just going to unfold this like this and fold this just for a little bit. Like that. I think that's enough. Now refold it, return it. There we go. All right, let's go. And we're just going to turn right angle right there at the top fold. You know, I think one of the smartest things that one of the scissor companies did, I think it was Olfa, they did make this little tiny, it's like a triangle, and it's a little box cutter, and it's got a magnet on it, and it's retractable. They made those, and then I found it for sale at the checkout of my fabric store. Again, another genius thing. And that I bought two, and I have one at home and one here. It's like, oh, it's like they knew. People who have sewing scissors need scissors or need a way to open a box. You know, something that you can be like, oh, I'll get this for my family. Oh, should I give you guys shirt tail hemming things? All right. So remember, like what I said, this raw edge here is a different length than where it's sewing to, right? And so usually what I do, this one's actually pretty easy, so I wasn't doing anything, but like right here, this is the center of the hem. So I will pin it in some like 3 non-negotiable spots, the side seams and the center back. So here's the other one right here. Like that. My center front's already done because I did the facing to the hem, right? So then I just need to work on the areas in between. So you see how this is raising up like this? This is, you know, definitely kind of the problematic area right here of a shirt tail hem. And so this area right here, this is longer than where it's going to. Right here, it's shorter than where it's going to. So that's what you're dealing with, and why I pin it at these non-negotiable spots. So I only have to fiddle with this little quarter section. Because obviously if this area is shorter and this part's longer, hey, let's just like, you know, shift it. No, then you get torquing. So don't do that. So what I do is I fold it, and you can tell like it's lifting up. See that little thing? You all know this. It does this little, I'll zoom it way in. It does this little thing where it just wants to flip out. It doesn't want to stay folded, right? So I fold it, and this is where fabric handling really comes in key, you know? So I'm kind of gently pulling this. It's a little on the bias. Quilting cotton is kind of stretchy, and I just ease it in there. And so now I'm at the center back. That's fine, nice and flat, barely any torquing there. You can see that. So then, and then I just do the next section. And now with the next section, it's going to reverse. It's going to become too short. So I'll show you how I do that. So here's this is that long section. Again, I let it, you're always trying to fold it perpendicular to where it's going to go. Don't let it move along the edge. And pushing it against. All right, and so now it's too shallow, right? There's not enough to turn. This is really where you're going to get torquing. So I pick it up, I fold it right where I want it to be, and I'm going to utilize the bias a little bit. Push that so I get rid of that torquing. When you see the the torque line starting, I don't know if you can't really see it, but you see how it's getting narrower? I'll really see it. It's like vertical right now. Don't pull harder. Really, you should make it looser and relax it and pull this edge toward the needle like that to relax the part that wants to torque. All right, and now I'm going to constantly shift this so it's perpendicular to the hem, and I'm pulling on it. I'm utilizing the stretch of the fabric there. I'm the boss. It's not twisting though, it's torquing. It really is, I promise. I don't know why you guys don't like that word. Is it like moist for some people? I don't know. And here, you know, see, here it is again, because it's towards the end there. Oh, welcome new subscribers. Sorry, I don't hear the alert. I bet you guys do, but I don't hear it. It's muted for me. They did an update where they did that. I really liked it when I heard it. All right, and so this is tucked in here, so we're just gonna fold this. I kind of like put it toward me like this so I can get it going in there. Like that. I do this so much, put my finger under a folded edge and just run it in there to kind of get it back on track. All right, so we're gonna turn the corner here. Pull this in under there. And you don't have to sit your facing down like I did. I'm wanting it so it's not flopping around, but it's not in the directions. I just like it to not want to be ironed because it's pajamas. And see, this is again, remember that edge right here with the piping, it's so much sewing that it's drawn it in, and this edge out here is a little relaxed. Thank you, Nancy. Ah, that's so nice to see so many viewers lately. All right, this is our last part of the Carolyn pajamas. What time? It's only 12:30. So I'll probably put my buttons and buttonholes on if you guys want. If you don't, then I don't have to do that on camera. I hardly ever do that though. I usually just do it off camera. Sorry, Dan, I didn't mean to trigger you. Just trying to get this nice and flat. Pattern wasn't set up for this, so that's why it would probably be a little different. Let's tuck this little folded edge in here before we immortalize it. And I'm just going to go up to the shoulder seam, like right here. I still need to tack this, and you can hand sew this or machine sew it. Yeah, this is my last stitches right now. Unless I'm forgetting something, which I've been known to do. Be like, oh yeah, we still need to sew all that. Nope, it's done. Buttons and buttonholes, okay. You got it. It's only great for me because I would do it off camera anyway, right away. I don't let it sit. Otherwise I'd get big piles. Look how cute that is. Very cute. Look at my little plant label. Exactly, Beverly. I can wear them tonight. I never do buttons and buttonholes on cameras. I know. I do have a buttons and buttonholes skill building session. There's the hem. Oh, I want to get rid of this little back stitching right here. Alright, well I already partially set up everything for the buttons and buttonholes too, so it's ready to go. But if you want to go get a drink or something right now, I'm going to set up this machine. It's going to take me a second. It's sitting right next to me on the floor. We're going to turn that off so we don't accidentally sew with it. Oops. Just dropped the thing on. Please don't tell me that was... Oh no, the bobbin's on top. Okay. I tied my cords to the camera arm so that I don't have to dig. I almost did snaps, Mary. I'm really loving doing snaps lately. I'll probably put buttons and buttonholes on this and then sew it shut. Okay, so let's see. Camera is a little harder to do on my home machine. I have a little Bernina 140. It's older. This the only buttonhole stitches I have look like. This is my buttonhole, and then I have a tailor's that doesn't work. I don't use any of this. I only use this for buttonholes. Okay. Oh, actually, let's leave the camera up and we'll mark our buttonholes first. So let's move that out of the way. So I got the buttonhole guide here. And one of the things I wanted to tell you guys, just in case you don't know this, if you have an old needle package, you hear the ridges there. If you have an old Schmetz needle package and there's that little ridge up here, that's actually a magnifying glass. So if you flip over the shank of the needle and put it in there, you can read what size the needle is. So if you have one of these old ones, don't get rid of it. It comes in handy. A lot of the others don't have that anymore. It's just smooth on top. So I just thought I'd remind you because they don't sell them like this anymore. Or if you see old needles, it's really handy. Because sometimes you just have like one of each size and you need one thing. So I do it and I just write on here. Or I just read the shank on both. The buttons are just simple white buttons. I don't even know what they look like. This is me looking at them. I could tell they're white. I know, right, Beverly? I did say sew it shut. I probably will. Oh, these are cute. They're, well, I don't think the camera captures them, but do you kind of see they're a little pearly? You could use either side. The one side is solid white and the front top side has a circle and they're kind of pearly. They're cute. But Lindsay's all, bring it on. Okay. I always put my buttons in my little kitty cat bowl. I use this thingy. Where's my hair marker? Oh, it's probably in the bin here. I hope. Oh, I have the gift. Oh, here it is. Good. The gift bag too. Then I'll use this. I don't trust this. So there is a button and buttonhole guide on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. There are 5 buttonholes. So I could just use this guide. So remember at the beginning how we were talking about like why isn't this a camp collar or what the difference is. And so like I said, you know, this has a lapel so it turns back on itself. So in other words, when this is buttoned up, you couldn't button it up like this. You can't do that with this kind of shirt. This right here it's like not flared, but it's meant to do this, has a break line to fold back, right? So, you did not know that, you guys? I've talked about this before. Yeah, because I was going to change my needle, and then I realized I didn't believe that this one was the same as that one. This needle right here, I don't know where this came from. It's a different length than this one here. Oh, no, it's not. It was just sitting in the package different. Anyway, this one right here, it's not inscribed on the shank, but this one is. I don't see it. But yeah, hold on to one of these packages. It's really great. If you have, or a magnifying glass, then you can read that. Because otherwise, because I can see it says 60/8, and that's what size this is. So, all right. All right, so I'm going to button this right over left. And if I wasn't using this little guide here, I love using this thing. I've heard some people say theirs doesn't stay very accurate, and I could see that. So, let's see how this is looking if I put this. Oh, actually, this looks like they took the seam allowance off this thing. That's nice of them. It's a true buttonhole guide, so you can just line it up right there. You know, this is how I use this thing here, and I will usually just go, okay, let's see, we'll mark our first button here, which is, there's that break line. You see that little notch right there? That is the break line, which means on a lapel, that's where the lapel folds. So it folds back like this, right there. So, yeah, exactly, Raquel. Yeah, this is going to be a very loose shirt, so I'm not too worried about gapping. But that is a really good thought if you're using a shirt that's closer fitting. or you just want to make sure you get it in the right place. I only have 5 buttons to work with, so I can't really change too much. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is the center front line. So this line is always really important. I hate how patterns don't give you this. That's so that you know where your buttons and buttonholes should line up on the pattern here. And so if you were to fold this piece of paper between this center front line and this center front line, all those buttonholes are going to line up on that. So I'm just going to measure. Here it is. How far away this is. And it's 1/2 inch. So I'm going to just draw a line 1/2 inch away from the edge there with my Hera marker. This just scores the fabric. It's not putting anything on the fabric. You might not be able to see it. I'm increasingly using this thing a lot, especially on darker fabrics. I don't trust chalk anymore. What machine are you guys talking about? I'm like, are you talking about a buttonhole machine? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. I'm going to do them about right there. How much gap do I want between my bottom button and the hem? I think it's going to be okay if it's like that much. Like that. And I could also use my soapstone pencil. So we're going to do these right here. Can I? Oh, I can't. Dang it. I'll just use the hair marker. Here it is right here. I'm using this hole a lot more now on this Simflex thing. My Choco liner fits through that hole. My Hera marker does not very well. This side fits better. Okay. Hi, Monica. I think a bone folder could work. For sure. It's called a Hera marker, H-E-R-A, by Clover. I'm not trying to market it or anything. I use all kinds of things. I use a soapstone pencil. The soapstone pencil is fragile, but I love it, and it's the same thing. Here, I'll do the bottom of my buttonholes with the soapstone. And we'll go like this. We'll mark 1. And it actually does leave something on the fabric, but not permanently. You have to hand sharpen this, and you can see it inside that white inside where my fingers are. That is the soapstone. You just push it up. And I also use Choco liners. I will admit they are my absolute favorite. I love the way they work, but I've been burned many times by the chalk in the yellow, and so I'm very leery of using the other colors. I should just once and for all do a test, because right now I have gray, white, and yellow, and just see, you know, just make myself feel better. I'm taking way too long to do this. Here, we'll just do the soapstone. The reason also I don't like using anything that puts something on the fabric is that when I'm done, I will take a picture of it, and I just want it to look nice. Purely aesthetics. All right, so I like having the center line mark a lot, because this means you can just line up your needle with that line, right? That helps a lot. making it more visible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Buttonholes take so much time. I know. Let me wind my bobbin really quick. Flip the spool over so it stops catching on it. I don't have the large cover for the spool here. It's at my home. Yeah, I know, Leah. I just don't have that stuff at home, you know? I totally should do that, but it's all at home. Yeah, no problem, Karen. Yeah, I'd be interested to see if a bone folder would do that same thing, because you can use anything. Like, this is just plastic. Are bone folders actually still made of bone? Clover Choco Pill. Oh, I think I've seen those. Yeah, there's so many things. You know what I'm thinking is, and maybe I don't know if did Mullen go to bed? About the sashiko. Oh, I just did that, but I want to change my needle. That's why I went to this whole thing about the needle. I feel like it needs to be changed, but I'm not sure, so I'm just going to change it. And look, this is a NeedleSharp needle from a past subscription box. She didn't actually send me a needle because I told her she didn't need to. But I'm wondering, what about sashiko? The stuff you use for sashiko marking. Because they do white on like dark blue fabric for a lot of it. That seems ideal, you know? Okay, I've never used one of her needles before, so I'm just going to check it. All right, we're fine. Oh, except if you have a Bernina, you're doing buttonholes, you want to thread this little arm of your case. Makes a big difference. The viewer in chat told me that. All right, now we're ready. Okay. Let me move the camera too. I gotta get the shirt all the way up here. Here we go. I usually have to sew really far away from me. It's the reason why I also don't do buttonholes on camera. It's really hard to get the camera. And it's really far away from me. So one thing I learned, I go over a lot of this in the skill building session. I've learned that this little hump on my machine, that lines up with my needle. And when I'm looking at it, it doesn't look like that. So that was kind of a shock for me. And the reason I want to know that is where to line this up with the top of my buttonhole. But you can always test it by going like this. Okay, you know, I want that to be a little further back. Right? All right, let's do it. Some use hair markers. You've actually just ordered a very thin white pen from Clover. It's supposed to be good. Yeah, so the person that you, I did, Jan. What are you asking, Mary, for why? I did. I just told you guys to thread that. Did you not hear me? And I said a viewer in chat told me that about that. So Mullen, you know the person that you turned us all on to for the sashiko a day for the, like in October or November, I saw that they were selling that pin, that Sashiko pin. That's why I was kind of interested, and I was like, I almost bought it. I don't even do Sashiko. I'm try-harding. That one wasn't long enough. If I feel like the buttonhole is too long, I will put the end bar tack on top of the end of the left side of the stitching. And if I feel like it's going to be too short, I put the bar tack past it. So, oh, why about the, oh, why throw the bobbin hole? That's what it's for on a Bernina. Not all bobbin cases have it. And it makes a nicer bead, exactly. Yeah. This stuff makes me go blind. All right. Okay. I'm just going to check these. That's pretty small. But like I said, this one's too small right here. So I'll show you how I fix that. This one's too small too. Did I just do my buttonholes the length of the... Yeah. I was really distracted when I was setting those up. Usually what I do is I mark the button length, the button itself, but then I do the buttonhole. I do a second step where I mark the buttonhole. I didn't do that. So, well, it's annoying. So I'm just going to cut that one off and this one off right here. Just the bar tack at the bottom. And restitch the sides. That's very annoying though. Sounds pretty good, Monica. That would not be a peaceful act in my house. One of the dogs that we adopted must have been fed McDonald's fries before she came to us, because the first time we ever had, it was like, I don't know, like a year after we got her, I picked up fries on my way home once because I was craving them. That's a comfort food for me. I grew up eating McDonald's. And she was all over me. I was like, what is going on with you? It was really cute. Like, she recognized that smell. I couldn't deny her. I was like, okay, a girl needs her fries, you know? All right. So I'm going to put it on my zigzag. And I'm going to try and find the stitch that I'm using. looks pretty good. Bye, Ann. Have a nice weekend. Oh, that's a good point. This one I'm not too worried about that, but that is a good point to do the bottom buttonhole. That's a very traditional thing to do. All right, so we're just going to lengthen each of these. This one here. Let's see where my needle is. Sounds kind of like it's messy underneath. Aw. Yeah, the other day my husband took me out for lunch and I had a piece of turkey and I said, this is for the dogs and you make sure that they know it's from me. He's like, yeah, I will. Especially Molly. I think I can make that, whoops, yeah, a little narrower. So I'm just re-sewing the bottom of my buttonhole. I can't see. I can't see. Okay, so I redid both those. That's off center. Great. And then we're going to decrease the length all the way to 0, make it a lot wider to do the bar tack. And this time I'm just going to see where it's at here with the needle. There we go. I think it go a little wider. I could have done a nicer job on the repair of this. I think this could go a little wider. Yeah. All right. I have to admit, sewing, if you do manual buttonholes with just your zigzag, sometimes they just look nicer than the actual buttonhole stitch, you know? Do you guys know what I mean? Okay, so let's clip all these threads. It's just the one thing I do is hand sew buttons on. I'll do one with you guys. I won't make you sit through all of them. Because I like to weave the shank on. Or not on. I like to weave the shank of the button so that there's like a little space between the button and the garment for the space of the other side of the garment. All right, which one do I trust for sure? I think that one was going to be tight. Ah, don't lose. We only have 5 buttons. Okay. We'll do this new one that I just sewed. All right, we're going to cut. I have a buttonhole cutter, but I don't use it. I just don't like it. I use a seam ripper. And I will poke my seam ripper in, and then I poke it back out, right? So I have a little hole there. And then I do it from the bottom as well. And then I connect the two like that. All right, so now I have my whole hole right there. I don't glue my buttonholes either. If you do, go ahead. But you see all this little thread stuff right here? I just pull on that and get rid of it. Once it's gone, it's gone. It can't unravel. It's been zigzagged within an inch of its life already. So if you just get rid of these loose threads that were created by cutting the hole, that's all the loose threads you'll ever see because there's no more left in there. That's my rationale. Like I said, I've never used glue. If you like using glue, go for it. I don't have anything wrong with it. I just never found the need for it. So we'll just sew this one buttonhole. right, so we're gonna overlap the front here. And remember that this line right here that your buttonholes were, let's make some space here. I'm really speeding through this tutorial. Just because I know all the people who have the skill building session are like, yeah, we know all this. So this distance between your center front and your buttonhole, or your front edge and your buttonhole, that is the same distance on this side too, right? So remember it was like a 1/2 inch over, right? So that's how your shirt will line up. And I'm just doing this one button right now, so if we put this on here at that mark there, line it up so it's nice and even. You always sew the button in at the top of your buttonhole, not in the center of your buttonhole, because the you know, if when you button up your shirt, right, the shirt's gonna slide down to rest on top of your button. So put your button at the top of your buttonhole. That's true. Rachel, I get that. I'm just gonna brighten it up a little bit. Yeah, this little bowl was made by her Instagram is Elingling, E-L-I-N-G, E-L-I-N-G-L-I-N-G, I think. That's not her business name though, and this is a portrait of my cat, Senor. And then look, this is Haku, and this was Senor. They're my button bowls. They work really good. Snaps too. If I do snaps, I put both sides in there. Okay, that's where my button's gonna go. I just need some white thread now. I might have some on the bobbin. Here we go. That's not white. This is white. See you, Shim. Oh, it's towards the end, Shim. So I always tell a story about when I used to rent this office in this building that housed a lot of other sewing and fiber related businesses, small businesses or arts and stuff. It was an incubator. And one of the places was, one of the little spots was these Hmong women, that there's a large community of Hmong people in Humboldt County. And they have a lot of traditional sewing skills that are pretty amazing. And they had a little cooperative there in this building. And they would do a lot of hand sewing for one of the companies in there, like embellishing and things like that. One of the tricks I learned was to thread your needle with like 8 strands of thread, like that. Here's the other, this is another thing I learned though too. So I'm going to cut, this is 4 strands right now. So I'm going to do, I did 4 strands of thread and then I cut the end. So I have a loop down there and we're going to put the cut ends through the needle. Let's see if I can get 4 strands through there. Definitely not the easiest sometimes, you know. And then you have to do it individually. You can. All right, we got that through. So right, see there's my cut tail. And then there, see that end is a loop. And so I'm gonna go through the fabric right here. Pull this all the way through, and then I'm gonna go through the loop. So now I don't have to tie the edge. It's nice and clean, it's flat, right? You see that? It's just like a loop knot. And now I'm ready to sew. Gosh darn it, 4 hole buttons. If you have 2 hole buttons, you want them parallel to your buttonhole. 4 hole, you don't really have that choice. So I'm going to Put this on. I'm going to leave space under my button. This is one area I'm a little extra in, is when I put my buttons on. But I like it. All right. If I do it on machine, like sometimes I will sew these on by machine, I will have to put something under it to create the space, like a toothpick or something, and it's so fiddly to get it to stay there. It's faster to do hand sewing. And look at this. I only need to do 2 passes on each side because that's literally like 16 passes. Because it's, okay, Karen, because there's so many threads through the needle. So, yeah. Okay, so that's ready now. So just make sure you have that little gap. See that? And now we're going to weave it. So I'm going to do a figure 8 around these 2 legs. This is something won't be well caught on camera by the end of it. And what I do is I scrape the needle against the back of the button so that I know I'm above all the threads, and I just kind of tighten it. And I just keep doing a figure 8. So I'm going to do this leg on this side, and I'm going to do this leg on this side. Nice wrap around. It looks so nice. It creates a nice little shank. If you have shank buttons, you don't have to do this. You want to do that so it doesn't spread apart the buttonhole, Anna. That's why. Because I'm weaving this shank, it won't spread apart the buttonhole. So then you can see, I don't know, can you see? There's a little shank there now. You can see the 2 ridges. All right, and so now I'm done, and I'm just going to go under the needle, or under the base of it, like this, and back through again. I don't really tie a knot. And then I'm just going to pull on this kind of hard and cut the threads at the base and snap them in there. And so now I have this little button kind of floating above, but when it gets buttoned, there'll be no distortion of the fabric poking up, because if there's no space there, I just dropped something. I caught it with my calves. If you don't leave that space, what happens is your fabric here pulls up like this into the buttonhole. It's just strained, and they can rip off the shirt, you know. This will just last a lot longer. And so there it is. So that's how I do it. But like I said before, I might just sew this shut. Oh, the underside of the button. There's nothing there. So you don't always have to go all the way through your fabric. I sometimes do if it's a really high stress garment, like a jacket. You want to go through all layers depending on what's going on at your center front there. But pajama, this is a loose pajama shirt. You don't need to go all the way through. This is, an interesting side note is that there was, there's Project Runway, and then there was a, it wasn't a spin-off show, but it was another, like, competition show like that. And the very first episode, they had this weeding out, like they were eliminating a few of them, like on the very first day. And one of them was sewing, and what the challenge was, I don't remember the whole challenge, but I just remember how someone got out. The challenge was sewing buttons and buttonholes, I think, on the center front of something. I don't know what they had to do. Maybe they had to construct the whole garment. I don't remember. I just remember this, that a couple of the people that, like, the deciding factor was that their buttons were, they could see the stitching on the inside. And I was like, wow, that's harsh. So it really stuck with me. Every time I sew a button on, I think of that competition. I think, well, gosh, I guess I'm ready for the competition. Glad I'd get out on the first day. I know I would. Yes, yeah, they do that because it will make the button perkier and give it a little bit more oomph, and it also protects your jacket. So say you're buttoning your jacket and there's a lot of strain, it won't rip off. Have you guys ever ripped a button off? and you rip the fabric. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't just rip the button off, it rips off a little chunk off of your shirt. I'm laughing, but it's like, wow, what do you do with that? So yeah, there we go. Looks so cute. Let's button my buttonhole. Yeah. Plus, when you have that little shank, it's so easy to button it up. So I'm just trying to decide, am I going to cut these or am I just going to sew the buttons on through? I'll probably make them functional. I can always sew it shut later. Oh, me too, Mary. Yeah, exactly, Bonnie. That's what I was remembering too. That's what I want to do. I don't want to wear this to sleep in. I might though. I might because it's short sleeved. It won't be as fussy. The sleeve diameter on the regular length is pretty wide at the bottom. That's just too much fabric in bed, you know. All right, so my last little thing is this little gift bag. I'm just going to sew it up if you want to hang out while I do it. Might as well. That is my goal, is to sew a gift bag every time I make a project. So thanks, you guys. Yeah, I'm happy with it too. Okay, tie my cords around the base there. Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy with that too. All right, this is this bobbin. I don't want to lose my buttons. As my friend would say, she'd say buttons, not buttons. I haven't tried it on yet. I'm not worried about it though, because I've made it before. Why is it so gosh dang bright? I keep turning it down. I keep turning it down. It must be getting sunnier outside. Okay. So if you watched the Vlogmas where I made lots of gift bags, I'm using that same pattern because I cut a bunch out of the lining. So this is a great way to use some of those. I had already made a bunch of, I used all my old binding and cut it or sewed it together and made these long drawstrings with it. How do I sew this together again? All right, so it has this little casing at the top. So we hem this, right? We hem this. Hem this. I'm so excited to never wrap presents again. And I actually enjoyed wrapping, just putting things in bags and stuff. Oh, I'm so glad, Marie. Yeah, thanks for watching and being here. Okay. We have the little bag here. Didn't I had some ideas. I don't remember what they were on making these. This was a free pattern from Hearts Fabric. Very simple. And I kind of like the way you do the drawstring. It's so easy. All right, and then we're going to make the corners. Snip. And gosh, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm streaming next, you guys. I've been in kind of a weird, like, little mental, I don't know. I don't want to call it a limbo. I don't have any sponsored streams next month, so I'm like, what do I want to do? If I had a different serger thread. Oh, wait. This does not look like the same. This is a scrap piece of fabric. Let me grab a lining. I hope I have one cut. I'm pretty sure I do, though. I had all these. Oh, this is all scrap. Okay, it's down here at the bottom. Okay, I found it, Okay. Did I? Or did I not? What is this right here? Sorry, just a second. I thought I had the lining cut out. I should have turned the camera on over here. I'm just going to trim this one down. Really quick. Notches. Done. Okay. Hi, Sydney. You say Sydney's here? There she is, yeah. How's it going? Nice, Adrian. Hi, how are you? You're up early. Oh, Rachel, are you sewing a jean jacket? Oh, I cut this really badly. So these are the things I've been thinking about. Something lacy for Valentine's Day. Because I really like the idea that you can buy a little piece of lace and then just use a t-shirt pattern. And if you sew it in lace, bam, you know? You just saved $85 from Victoria's Secret. But I also have this Minerva quilted fabric. So I was thinking about drafting that like home loungewear outfit. I even drew something. This is so badly cut. Wow. Look at this. Whose birthday is it? It's your birthday? Or no, it's your friend. For your birthday. Nice. You did a paint and sip. Oh, that's cool. What'd you make? I was supposed to do one of those with my sister and mom when my sister was here, and the place we went there, we like had lunch, and then we showed up, and they were like, "Oh, are you showing up to do that?" Well, I'm leaving, and no one's gonna be here till 4. And we were like, "What?" So we ended up throwing axes instead. Okay, see, that's Christina. That's what I want to do. I want to sew one of those shirts, or like make the pattern and sew one of those shirts. That's exactly what I've been thinking about. And then I was like, I have that Minerva fabric that I'd really like to sew. Do I recommend? You have the electronics, right, Beth? Because you were talking about the thread length. So I don't recommend it. I got it on there, and it would have worked perfectly if I could lift up the presser foot. But because of the extra thing in the back for the electronics, I couldn't lift up my presser foot. So don't get it. If you want mine, let me know. You can try it out. All right. Wasn't I supposed to leave something open here? Yeah. I was supposed to leave an opening here. Yes, I know it's navy blue thread. Thank goodness Shem's not here. It's a gift bag. I'll be trying to be better prepared next time. You need to celebrate big because it's your 40th. Nice. You have left your 30s. I liked turning 40. My friends made a piñata in the shape of a chicken. In fact, the chicken head is still here somewhere. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. Look, I still have my 40th birthday piñata chicken head with a pipe cleaner comb. It's the DDL 8100-B7. Oh, I don't know that model. I don't know that model, Beth, so you never know. You might ask them if it will work. Hopefully they would know, you know. Yeah, he's cute, and I had to whack him, you know. Yeah, and I did the buttons and buttonholes, and then I did, now I'm doing my little gift bag. This is my vow. Every project I sew this year. That's not where it goes, right? It goes in here. I need to put notches for where this draw cord thing goes. Right sides together. Yeah, I wonder, if wherever you're at, the returns. I imagine something like a machine thing, they may be a little leery. I made the pants earlier in the month, Anne. If you're interested, they're linked in the description of the video. And if you're looking for the description, usually you just need to click or tap the title of this video and you'll find it. And I linked each one in there, the cutting and sewing. I'm not putting a lot of skill into these bags. Let's hope I can get this lining on because it was cut pretty funky. Let's see, I want to see how it is before I start sewing too far. Is it too big? Is it too small? Is it porridge? It's porridge. Lucky. Yeah, you know, Leah, that's what I think too. And so I was actually thinking like Christina is saying that to do that. That actually makes me so happy you said that, Christina, because I would like to do more drafting and I feel like more of you are more interested in that now. But I could do the Minerva thing and draft something for that. I left a very tiny hole in order to get this whole bag through. I'm hoping the non-matching lining thread will just blend in with the bag when it's inside there. Oops, I just ripped it. I'm rushing it. There we go. Okay. All right, where's that? Where's that hole and where's the rip? Oh, I don't see a rip. All right, so we're going to shut this little hole. Get rid of these threads so we don't, you know, it doesn't scream, look it, I didn't use matching thread here. And then it just needs a good press. Nice, Terry. Are you going to put your... And I could, huh? That's so funny. It's true. A lot of pajamas come with a bag. Why is that? So one of you guys, I think one of you guys in the guild recommended that podcast, Articles of Interest. And whoever that was, thank you so much because I love it. I have to admit, like, I'm not big on sewing podcasts. I think they're all great. I will listen to one. I'm like, oh, this was really fun. I love it. I need to listen to more of these. But it's not my go-to thing, you know? I'm sorry. It's just not my go-to thing because I just like, it's just, I don't know. I end up loving it, but I usually look for things that are a little more of a escape. And Articles of Interest has been so good. I started with that American Ivy series, and I'm just loving it. It's so interesting. I'm just going to make it so it's not twisting in there. There we go. Boop. Gift bag. This is kind of genius. This whole thing of where I know there's a little gap here. So yeah, if you put like marbles in here, they might fall out. But it does make it easy to cinch shut and easy to sew this way. It's kind of interesting too. If you do this, do not put this drawstring in here, like when you thread it in. Don't do that. Make sure it matches the width of your bag. And that's because when you go to open it up to put something in, you see that? You've just constricted the opening. So, all right, look at that. My first bag of 2022's resolution. Yeah, I'm sure it is, Monica. Oh, really? It was spicy? That's funny. I've been listening to American Ivy, If Books Could Kill, Maintenance Phase, which I love. I kind of like You're Wrong About, but it's starting to grow on me. Oh, and there's an old serial series that I missed. Like I listened to the very first serial, like when it was happening, like every week. I was so excited about it. But they have another one that I'm liking, so that's it. We just started in the guild a new group for sewing related books, not how-to sewing, but you know, like where it's like a novel, fiction or nonfiction, doesn't matter. But there's sewing as a central component to the plot. There's a new group in the guild for that. It's free, anyone can join. Sarah wanted to join or to start it, and I was like, yeah, sure. Let me set it up for you. See, this is cute. Let's check out my jammies, and then we'll sign off. All right, I've got my pajama shirt. I'm going to put my buttons on while I eat my lunch. Hi, Ray. You just listened to Fangirl? You know who else just finished Fangirl is Anna. Anna just finished Fangirl, too. I love Rainbow Rowell. I know I say I don't like romance, and most of her books are kind of have a romance element to them, but I love them. I love her books, and Fangirl was one of my favorites. Oh, thanks, Terry. Bechtel Cast, it's about movies. Oh, Bechtel Cast, it's about movies. Okay, I might check that out. So my favorite video game just got turned into a series on HBO, and there are 2 podcasts related to that I'm listening to as well. But I haven't seen the series yet, so I don't want any spoilers. That's why I'm not talking about it. But I haven't listened to the podcast episodes because I don't want to get spoiled. All right. So can you see that? Cute jammy alert. Look at that. So cute. My bottoms. My new label looks good. There's my other label. This one came with the kit. Thanks to NeedleSharp for giving us this kit to sew together. I hope it helped some of you. What? I'm not talking. What? Isn't the Bechdel test if women are on screen not talking about men or something? Oh, interesting. I might look at that. I thought I was a movie nerd until I started listening to a podcast about movies, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm not a movie nerd, and I just didn't do it. The labels are not 100% cotton. I am selling them right now, but they are not 100% cotton. I'm pretty sure they are. Hi, Marilyn. Thanks. I'm not sure. That's such a good question, Ann. If you're worried about the scratchiness, if you feel it, it does feel like it would be pokey. I do not sew these on the side seam so they don't bug me, because that's too sensitive for me. When people put it on the side seam, I hate that. This is better for me. So they don't poke me, but it probably depends on where you put the label. I haven't had a problem with them. I'm pretty sensitive about stuff like that, but there are people more sensitive than me. Men, not central characters. Oh yeah, I might check it out. All right, you guys. Well, thanks for cheering me on this project. I'm really excited. I will post a picture soon. Try them on. I keep brightening it up. It's so, in person, it looks so much lighter. Look at. See, the fabric in person, like on this camera, is better. Yeah, me too, Ray. All right, guys. Well, have a great weekend. I'll see you in a couple weeks. I don't know what I'm streaming yet. It might be drafting related. Check out the guild. The Journeyist group is free this month, and next week there are three things happening. There's a workshop that you can come to and ask me any sewing question you want. The last one was amazing. Ask a Sew a Question show and the skill building, the monthly skill building session, are both on Friday. Skill building session and Ask a Sew a Question show are next Friday. Skill building is all about cutting confidence, like when you cut out your project and having confidence on doing that. It's free to join the guild, and this month through January, Journeyist group is free. You might enjoy just going to those even if you don't plan on signing up for Journeyist. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say to you guys. And thanks again to NeedleSharp. I'll talk to you guys soon. Where's my little thingy? There it is. Oh, thanks, Ann. Yeah, I hope you like it. Tacos sound amazing. I was about to tell you about all the food my husband's been really into lately, but I'll save it. Nice, Julie. All right, you guys. See ya. Bye.